One. Well, hey, Dave Molenda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I bet you that you know what I'm going to do, like I do every week, as we start with a question. And I have a question for you that's going to require a little unpacking today. And really, the question is, what is your difference? And what makes you different than all the other people in your space? Because there's probably a lot of people in your space. And I actually found somebody that has the word difference kind of in their tagline. So we're going to unpack that today. And I'm challenged to make sure I say this name right. So I'm already nervous. So the pressure's on. It's a good friend though. So I always just call her Allison. So I'm honored to be hanging out with, I'm going to do it, Allison Quartuccio. How are you today? I did it. How are you? That's the only time I said. That's the only time I'm doing it too. So, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We are going to have a ball. You are the broker and owner at Denali Realty Group here in the metropolis of Brookfield, Wisconsin. So, I see right off the bat, I see the Denali difference. So, I want to put you on the spot right there and say, what does that mean when you wrote that, when you had that as a tagline for yourself?
Well, again, thanks for having me, Dave. I've known you
Yeah.
for years and years, and this is the first
Yep.
time we're sitting down to do this, so this is really
Yeah.
fun. For us, the Denali difference is my partner, Dennis, and myself. Denali is honestly our names put together. He's
Okay.
the and I'm the Ollie.
Okay.
And
Nice.
nobody gets that, which is hysterical. But I think he was driving down Blue Mountain Road one day and he's a home builder and
Okay.
he's visionary. He can see things. And I think he saw it and he's like, that's it. That's the name of our company.
Wow.
So that's that. But really, I think it's just the synergy of our relationship. We had been friends for 20 years, and I started off my career in mortgage banking. I was a loan processor, and
Okay.
he was a family-owned condominium developer.
Okay.
Him and his company would come to the bank that I worked at, Equitable Bank in Wauwatosa, and he got the loans from Terry Herter, who's no longer there. And I worked on all the loans, and we became friends.
Sure.
And from that, I moved on from my career. He stayed doing that. We stayed in touch. I became a secondary mortgage representative. Back, so if you go and get a loan to a mortgage broker, they're going to sell their loan to the secondary market, and that was me.
Okay.
I
Oh, okay.
worked with brokers. I did not work with the public, even
Sure.
though I had originated at Equitable for a little bit. And when 2008 happened to all of us,
Yep.
Dennis lost his company. They went under. Condos were not a thing anymore, and everything was flipped, turned upside down.
Sure.
And you couldn't get a loan.
Yeah.
The economy collapsed and the mortgage division collapsed. So I think our Denali difference is actually we both kind of just put well, he put on his big boy pants, I put on my big girl pants, dusted it off and said, what can we do? Where are our strengths as friends, as people we've known
Yeah.
for a long time? And with him, with the condo development and land development, and he's developed so many condos around here. He's been on boards and worked with municipalities and building codes, and for me, it was mortgage background. I
Sure.
mortgage and I understand the paperwork because I started with my hands in the paperwork aspect of it. And then, you put all that together and then you just put that I'm a total goof and love networking and talking to people and whatnot. You will never see, he's not definitely not the face of Denali. He likes to stay back a little bit and do that. But
Sure.
I think it's just having fun, knowing who you are, being authentic, and just having the background of everything put together makes
Yeah.
us, I think it makes us different.
Sure. Well, that's awesome. And there was a ton there, so thank you for sharing that.
Yes, I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm a,
no, no, I love it. No, you're good. Totally good. I just think that from the listener's perspective, I want to back up because you hit something really interesting. So 2008, for anybody that was alive then, was obviously a turning point in a lot of economies. And so you were in as a part of that, and that's where so you were in corporate America prior to that,
It
and
was.
then you ended up jumping into, which was probably not the best time for you to jump in, right?
I was going through a divorce. I mean, there were all these things. It's like go big or go home, right?
Yeah,
Like my whole world just changed in
sure. Yep,
months.
yep. Well,
And
we
it's
have a
rough.
we have a ton
I'm
of
not
people
gonna
around the
lie.
world. Yeah, we have
Yep.
a ton of people around the world that listen, and what they have is this thought in their mind that they're in corporate America or corporate whatever their country is, and they see what we do as owning our own business, Allison, and they think, man, I want that, right? And I always tell people up front, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I've had some people where it spanned most of their life before they pulled the trigger. And then I've had people do it when they were 15 years old and it never really looked back. So the caveat is there's no right or wrong way. So when you think back to 2008 and there's all this stuff going on in your life, how did this come up that maybe I should start something on my own rather than continue on with that safety and security of a job in corporate America?
Well, the day I got let go, and I was in corporate America for several years, the day I got let go, I was number three in my company. I
Okay.
was not expecting to get that phone call, and it was 2 weeks before Christmas of
Oh,
thanks,
Merry
and it
Christmas.
was reps in the state, and you could see the writing on the wall, and she was number one, and she'd been there for, and if it was going to be anyone's going to be me.
Yeah,
So I have always sold something, and I've always just had that people connection that I can walk into a room, read a room, and just connect with that person or connect with that somebody with a need. And financial advisors didn't intrigue me to do that. Insurance makes me yawn. Sorry. But
uh-oh. Glad we don't have any insurance
it
sponsors today.
does. It's so needed. It's so needed.
Sure.
Um, But I've always been a people person business. And for
Yep.
me, mortgages, yes, it was numbers, but it's about people and trying to figure out when really everything was ripped out from underneath me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I think we go
Yeah.
through that several times in our lifetime. We have to pivot a lot, especially after
Sure.
2008, after the pandemic, we've all pivoted a ton. I really leaned in and I don't know where I would be or what I would be doing if it honestly wasn't Dennis. So he is such a huge part of the story
Sure.
because he was in that family-owned business and his dad owned restaurants growing up. His entire family has been self-employed his whole life. He's never worked for anybody. So he
Okay.
had that entrepreneurial spirit.
Sure.
I did not. And
Yeah.
I'm the first to say it. And he called me one day after I lost, my job and I was working in a cubicle going through a divorce, knowing I have to get out of this cubicle. I'm going crazy. But he's like, call in sick, which I did. Call in sick and come look at this opportunity. And there was a franchised real estate firm that was looking to get into Wisconsin. And we were the 62nd franchise in the country if we were going to jump into it. So I
Sure.
called in sick. We went down to Rockford, Illinois. I sat in on these meetings and I had no idea what I was listening to at all.
Yeah.
But it was somebody I trusted and respected who understood a little bit more. And on the
Sure.
way
Sure.
home, he was like, well, what do you think? You want to open up a real estate company? And I literally said, sure, I have nothing better to do. And that's how it started. So,
Wow.
I've always been financially stable, that I've always lived within my means.
Sure.
I set up that I knew what I had to live on for the next, I figured it would take a year. I didn't know it would take four.
Yeah.
But I knew what it would take, and we got into this franchise company, which we ended up getting out of in year four. Which I think a lot of franchises, they give you that boost, and then you realize, hey, I can do this myself. And when you've got that
Yeah.
ability, you do. Um,
Yep.
yeah. But but that's it. I mean, I liked and trusted somebody, and I went in every day, and I didn't know where to start, and I didn't know because I had never worked for a traditional real estate firm. And Dennis
Sure.
listed his own condos, but he never worked for a traditional real estate firm. And so every day I read, And I stayed in my budget and I ate hot dog soup and all the things for several years, making it work. But it was really scary because I had never not had health insurance. And I
Sure.
had never not had a 401k. And that unknown was terrifying. And Dennis will tell the story, and I do too. I cried every day for 6 months. Every single day I went in and sobbed because I didn't know
Yeah.
what, and I just had so much else going on in my life.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and finally one day he's like, I literally can't watch you cry anymore. And I was sitting in the chair like all defeated. He's
Yeah.
like, do something else. Just this is fine. It's a 6 month blur. Go work for somebody. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Cried one more time, got all settled, and I called the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce because I'm like, I have to meet. Where do I meet people? And that's how
Sure.
it started. And because I'm a people person and this is a people business, I realize for me, it's about getting in front of people and just learning people's stories and finding how, when the time is right, because not everybody buys a house every day of the week or every year,
Sure.
how can I bring value? And that's really how I did it, is I found a way to bring value to those around me by the people I networked with and grew my network that way. And about a
Wow.
year and a half after that, I sold my first house. But it was and
That's
it was great. But that other agent, it was her first house too, and she didn't know it was my first house. And every night I would go and Google because something would come up, and I don't have a huge resource because I'm an independent brokerage.
sure,
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
money, but it worked, and here we are. And now we just celebrated our 14th anniversary.
Oh my gosh,
It's crazy.
congratulations. Well, there was like so much there again, which I absolutely love. So I want to help the listener along. So kind of the first question that I had based on what you said, because there's a lot of people that have like a passion to do something, and that passion turns into their full jam someday down the road. Was real estate your passion, or was that just like an acquired taste for you?
It was an acquired taste. It was,
Okay.
I've done mortgages for all this time. I've sold things my whole life.
Yeah,
To me, real estate was about people and what I didn't know then is how blessed I am and that people invite you into their lives in this short period of time, a 90-day window,
sure.
or
Yeah,
everything about them, their families and their kids. And I was
yeah.
actually at a wedding reception Saturday night for one of my clients. Four of my other clients were there. Like, talk about the power of referral, right?
Oh yeah.
And it
Wow,
was so
that's
much
super.
fun. Um, but just the honor of that, and that's really how I got into real estate. I didn't go to a traditional college. That scared me, and it actually gave some limitations in my head of things I thought I couldn't do.
Sure.
My dad was an entrepreneur his whole life. My mom was a nurse, and I think every day my mom told me go get a job because she didn't understand the struggle.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of
Wow.
people that believed in me, and I knew it was time. And I
Yeah.
think and I think if you stay authentic to who you are as a person, and it's taken me a long time. And a lot of what I've learned from you with the disc assessments and things like that, if you stay in your zone and you know who you are and you know who your ideal client is or who you can communicate best with, it
Yeah.
opens a lot of doors for you.
Well, and I think that's a great point for the listener is number one, Allison was very in tune to who she was and what she liked and was good at. So, she talked right away about people connection and then the sales. So I think it's really important if you're going to take that jump into being an entrepreneur, you better know yourself pretty darn well to be able to make that jump because like you said, the unknown, there are a lot of people that are not built to take risk. And which again, neither one's right or wrong, good or bad, right? Dennis
Yep.
probably all he knew in his career was risk.
Yep.
Let's face it, buying a chunk of land and putting a road in and putting sewer in and putting water in all the things before you ever got a penny back. And then, you start putting houses or buildings on this. I mean, that's huge risk, which a lot of people, really struggle with. So, was that risk part for you? Was that where a lot of the tears were coming from?
It is because I really am not a risk taker. I don't ski. I don't. When I was little, I wouldn't go down the slide unless my feet were out like this, holding me down. I I
Yep.
am I am not a risk taker at all. And yes, I can look back and say what a risk I took, but I was also rebuilding myself. And I think
Sure,
I was looking at that more of I'm going to take a risk and start an entrepreneurial journey. And even when it took me a few years to get into it, and we were in this franchise that wasn't working out, and what do you do? And and we talked about shutting down and going to work for a larger brokerage. And at that time it was like I can always be an agent somewhere else, but I think we're on the cusp of something here that it's our own, that we
yeah,
did it our way. And I always
sure,
tell people I don't have any right ways or wrong ways of doing business or running my business. I just have my way because
sure,
I taught myself.
yeah,
And and I have a lot of great colleagues that I reach out to with questions, and now they ask me for questions. And but I really did teach myself and figured out what works for me. And for me, it's just those real conversations and those real moments, going off script a lot. I'm not a
sure,
script. I'm not. If you tell me to make a cold call, like I'm hiding under a desk, just like anybody else in the world. um, but it is. It's about believing in yourself, and I think then the risk factor goes away, and you're just trying to stay authentic to who you are inside.
sure. Well, and I gotta believe that it helped finding a partner that had strengths that were your weaknesses and vice versa, because again, Dennis probably wouldn't be where he's at if he didn't have you as the face of the company. So
That's very true.
yeah, so finding somebody, if you're in this journey and you're listening and you are struggling to see some of the things that you're not very good at, then one option is to find somebody that is good at those things, because I think it's probably way easier to have a person going on that journey with you than having to do it all yourself. Do you think you'd be where you are if it wasn't for Dennis?
No, and I truly believe that. And to go off of that
Yeah,
thought, my best friends are small business owners. When I first started this business, my best friends weren't small business owners. They were just my best friends that I've had forever.
yeah,
Whether you're a chiropractor, an accountant or financial advisor, it doesn't matter the business when you're an entrepreneur. You're all in the same business.
right,
You all have the same struggles. You all have the same fears. And to find your personal board or, your people, your circle, when you're feeling down or you're just not sure where to go for marketing, or you have this idea and is it crazy, or do I need to
sure,
grow? Am I okay like
yeah,
this? Those are the people that I work with. I still have my friends from back in the day, but we have
yeah.
different, they have health insurance and they have
Right?
benefits, and they're
Yeah.
not saving 30% of every check. And when I'm searching around for $1,000 a month for health insurance and I'm healthy, they don't
Yeah.
get that. Oh my gosh,
Right.
but I also get the flexibility and freedom to create my own schedule and to do the things that I am passionate about, or spend time with my family in need or whatnot. The biggest
Yeah.
thing about being self-employed for me is my mom got very, very sick in 2017, 2018, and I couldn't work. I had to move in with her. And I would have lost my job. I would have lost my job in corporate America 15 times over if I
Yeah.
wasn't able to do what I do now. So there is so much benefit with the risk, but the reward is there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's awesome. And again, um, before we jump into break, I want to kind of, you mentioned one thing which I think is so smart that many people forget. You thought it was going to take a year and it ended up taking 4. So I run into people in this same scenario, Allison, where they're like, they have this path and they think it's going to be, where they're going to have achieved whatever in the first, X number of days, weeks, or months. So we try to tell people, hey, if it takes a little bit longer? Are you prepared? So, how did that work? So you're thinking 1 year, it took 4. Was that how did you mentally work through that? Because that had to be defeating at times.
Mindless television to keep your mind off. Probably
Uh-oh, there you
my
go.
best friend back in the days.
And a
Um,
couple of wine bottles occasionally, I'm guessing were in
a
it.
couple.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did so much networking, and I was
Okay.
out and I was meeting people. And I never drank coffee before I started my own business, and now I'm, addicted like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Um, it was just a lot of networking and being out and meeting people. And I didn't really feel alone. And I think being an entrepreneur, you feel like you're on an island a lot. And trust me,
Yep.
14 years into it, I still feel like I'm on an island. Real
Yep.
estate is busters, 27 days a week, 12 months a year. There is downtime and it is very easy to get in your head
Yeah.
of
Uh,
that. But
yep.
knowing, finding your way out of it is concentrating on the positive and concentrating on those small steps. I'm not one to, and I apologize if you tell people to do a yearly goal. That's way too much for my brain. I can't.
Yeah.
If you can write things down and do small attainable goals that you can check off, and you're making progress of where you need to be, and you've
Yeah.
got the right people saying, you know what, I've actually looked up to you because of this. That's all I need and to keep that fire going. It may not be monetarily, but I am making a difference someplace.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I mean, you don't read the book Traction because they tell you to do a 10-year plan.
Oh my
And it's
God.
just like I look at that and I'm like, what? I'm on the same spot as you are, Allison. I'm just like, man, I just help me get through the day to day. Let's just focus on Monday. It's Monday for crying out loud. So, hey, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, I want to unpack that. You hinted at the networking and referrals. So I want to just take a quick break here and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Honored to be hanging out with Allison Q. I'm just leaving it at that because
There,
I'm
I
not
like
even going to
it.
try, not even going to try it again. But broker and owner at Denali Realty Group in Brookfield, Wisconsin. So you mentioned a couple times about networking and referrals, and I think that especially in the real estate world, but just in general in some of your other positions, and just as a question. I'm assuming that you don't wake up every day like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to network and I can't wait to get referrals. Or is that something that really energizes you to do your job on a day-to-day basis?
It does. I will say I've gotten pickier. So
Uh-oh.
I went to everything.
Yeah.
Everything, but you find your people. You find where you belong. I am an extrovert introvert. I am very loud. I'm the loudest person in the room. Thank you to my Italian
Okay.
heritage. Talk with my
Yep.
hands, things.
Sure.
But I'm also pretty shy. I need a wing woman or a wingman. I am terrible, terrible at small talk.
Okay.
Uh, but if I have that touch point, that familiarity, then you can start going with it. But
Sure.
it does energize me. As I'm getting older and I like to hang out, and if you guys go on our website, you'll see my chief marketing officer, Zeus. I just like hanging out with my dog at night now. So I do
Yeah.
concentrate on the mornings and the afternoons and nights if I'm doing showings and a networking
Sure.
event, you're there.
So when you go to like everything at the beginning, that doesn't sound too intentional. I'm assuming you were just like, if there was a group going, you're in, trying to find out, like you said, your tribe. And I think that's really smart because I've still run into people, Allison, that go to meetings that are like, they don't have any real value. They're not adding value to the meeting. They're not even really like in the right group. And it's like, so I think there is some intentionality that you have there, which is awesome. Was the Brookfield Chamber, you mentioned that early on, so I kind of wanted to, talk about the chambers. Are you still involved in a chamber to this day?
I am to this day. So I joined in year 3 of business. Like I said, we just hit 14.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I joined that one was because of proximity. My office was in Elm Grove, Wisconsin at that point. There was an Elm Grove chamber. I had joined that. I had gone to a few events, and when I would show up, they'd be canceled, and I'd be standing there in the rain waiting for a ribbon cutting, and no one's there. And I'm like, okay, this is not working. Like,
Hard to
what?
cut a ribbon with one person, right?
So,
Can't hold both sides and the scissors. It's like doesn't work.
right. Uh,
Wow.
so geographical the next biggest city is Brookfield. So I didn't know their involvement in the community. I just called.
Yeah.
And I met with the sales director at that point, and I had gone on their website to take a look, and there was a lot of larger brokerages on the website represented. And here I am, me, who's never sold a house in her life, and nobody has heard of me or my company. And I think at that time it was like $320 to join or something like that, which is a lot of money. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of money when you're first starting out or, finding every dollar counts, right?
Yep.
I went and I talked to the guy and I'm like, I don't understand why I would join because I'm not ex brokerage or ex brokerage. I'm just me. And I will never forget this, and I tell the story a lot. He's like, just show up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? He's like, just show up. Yes, these bigger companies are out there and it's whatever, and it could look intimidating, but nobody comes to the events. And if you come and make your face known and you are the realtor, with the smile or with this and that, whoever you are,
Sure.
and you come consistently, you'll make the difference and you'll meet the people you need to meet.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, it can't be that easy. And quite honestly, I mean, it's not easy. It's time. It takes time. And I think we live in such a I need everything right now society that that time that it takes to build real relationships. But
Yeah.
it took me a long time. It took me years. But once I saw the value of that organization, I said, okay, I can't go everywhere all the time. I need to concentrate on these relationships. And then I became involved in the organization and I was on the board of directors for a number of years and I ran the new member ambassador committee. And then eventually, how it's supposed to work, and it did, is you get busy and your business grows and you
Yeah.
start making, and suddenly you can't do it all. And you've got to find that balance of,
Sure.
okay, I got a network, but I have to pay the bills as well. And so I stepped away from the committees I was on, but I still go to their breakfast every other Wednesday, and I've been going for 11 years now. And I still get
So
up and I'm a Denali Realty Group, and I love it.
do you feel like there's value there, or is it because there's this spot, and I've seen this, there's a spot where you start for business and then you end up, you like, not you, but a person starts to grow their business, but then it kind of like all of a sudden transitions to a friendship. Not that that's bad, but that's where it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that because they're not getting, they show up like, the guy said, just show up. And then you show up for a meeting and nothing happens. So it's like, yeah, I'm out of here. And it's like, how long did it take before you had actually felt some type of value from your networking in that type of setting?
And I 100% agree with what you're saying. I actually just stopped a group last year that was one profession group that we would have breakfast. And over the last 2 years, it was six people eating breakfast together, and nothing was getting passed, and there wasn't business. So I left
Yeah,
because
yeah,
right, it can turn to that, and I still love all of them. But if the name of the
sure.
game, making connections and supplying each other business leads, that's not happening. And
Yep.
I'll find someplace else or take Zeus for a walk. Zeus actually that equation. But I will say for the Brookfield Chamber, and this is just my own personal experience, I found value immediately. And it's because I had never owned a business before. And I didn't understand marketing, and I didn't have an accountant, and I didn't have a photographer, and I needed that knowledge. And
Yeah,
so again, probably that first year or so, I had coffee with everybody in the world, mainly to learn what they did,
sure.
how I could use their services to maybe
Yep.
help the world my services. So I
Yeah.
looked at it a very different way. Again, I realize not everybody, I'm kind of going against Dave Ramsey here, but not everyone's meant to be a homeowner in life. There are some
Sure.
people who rent. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
I brokerage and I rented because
Yeah.
it made sense to me in the point of life I was at. I needed my income because I was brand new to be very specific. And that's just where it was.
Yeah.
But throughout all that and those relationships I made, and because I was helping people throughout the years, they have helped me. And I would say 90% of my business comes through the Chamber of Commerce, either from direct relations or someone that I've sold a house through that now has told people. I was at their event on Wednesday and I got up to do a thank you, and I had five past clients in the room of 42 people or whatever. That's
Nice.
huge.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think you touch on something that to you it probably just comes as second nature, but to a lot of people, they're trying to understand why they're at this event. And I run into people so often, Allison, that are like, they don't understand the concept of adding value. Like you said, you meet with somebody because you want to learn about them and figure out how you can help them. And I'll never forget one, and I don't even know the name of who it was. I don't remember anything other than I'm at a networking event, and a gentleman walks up to me, couldn't even tell you who it was, walks up to me with literally a half-inch stack of his business cards and says, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I work at this company." Again, don't know anything about it. Gives me a half inch of his cards and says, "Do you mind handing these out to all your friends for me?" That, I mean, that was that in his mind, that was a true successful a journey with networking. And it was like just embarrassing because number one, I didn't know the guy. So I'm like, you could be an ex-con, you could be on the run, you could be in witness protection. There's so many things going on that I don't know. The last thing I'm gonna do is say, hey, to my friends on top of it, hey, you go call this guy, and I don't know anything about him. So
Yeah.
it's like, add value. I absolutely love that piece. If you're listening right now and you've never done networking, or your networking is kind of stalling because you're running out of people that can help you, flip it around and just think about who can you help. And I
Mhm.
think that that's so powerful when somebody comes to a networking event with me and they come up to me and say, "Do you know so and so? I've been talking to them about, you speaking at their event or whatever." I'm like blown away at that point, right? I feel so much gratitude rather than the people that walk up to me and try to sell me immediately on their service. So I'm just curious, where did you learn to kind of add that value and make it more about the person that you were talking to? Is that natural for you, or did that come with practice?
I think it is. I think it's natural of I've always been a reader and I love learning. And I think it was just natural me asking questions of people. And then as you talk to somebody else, they're like, wait a second, these two should really meet. And I do the welcome email and I step out because I don't need to
Yeah,
be in it. But I do think it comes natural. And I don't think that's natural for everybody. And when I ran the new member committee, ambassador committee, I would always tell people it takes 90 days at least of consistent attendance for somebody to not think you're potentially the business card passer out or,
yeah.
and whatnot. Because we've all been there and we all look at each other and we all roll our eyes as their back turns and they walk away from you and you're like, you know,
What am I doing with this half inch of business cards? I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these? Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, I love that concept, and that was in the events that you and I have been in together over the years, that's always seemed to be your mantra, your lead in is, hey, how can I help you? And I think that that's so powerful because in networking, and I think that's why a lot of us don't want to go to a networking event, because there's these people that just like they want to just, clam onto you, and they want something from you, and it totally just blows me away that that's kind of their thought process. And so I didn't know if it was a natural thing, because like, it's the same way for me. I walk into a group and I'm like, hey, who do you want to meet? And I don't know why that seems to be like, I don't know if it's a gift or a superpower, might be a curse, but it's like he's just watching you see, hey, you need to meet so and so, and it just comes, and before you know it, that connection's made. That's pretty cool.
as humans, like we crave community, right? And no more so than after the pandemic. Like we crave community. We crave interaction, or at least I do. It got
Yeah,
very and I think if you look at networking as a way that it doesn't necessarily need to be a formal networking group. If you are an avid skier and you're part of a ski group or a church or Bible study or your kids' school, all of those are networking experiences. And but it's a warm, soft lead in that you get
yeah,
to know somebody. And that pressure, if you don't like walking to a room and you're afraid of being a business card hander outer, the joining a group and joining something that you're passionate about and be like, hey, I sell houses, and hey, oh, you need that? You need a painter? I've got the greatest one. You're helping the painter, you're making a connection, and you're looking knowledgeable, in your field. So
Yeah.
there's ways of networking that don't fall into the normal
Yeah.
realm.
I don't know. Again, I don't know where that came from. And I wanted to believe that people were not training on this. I'm like, I sure hope that you didn't pay good money for somebody to tell you to, and hand out a half inch of your business cards, because it just like was so scary. Because I panicked. I didn't know what to do. It was one of those things like when I was a teenager, Allison, and like I didn't know what to do. I just ran. Like when the cops came, I just ran, right? And I'm like, I can't run in the middle of this. I wish I could, because I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. Because, like, what? It just was just, and again, 20, 30, 40, how many ever years later, it just sticks with you. And those things are just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just curious, are there any oh my gosh stories that you can think of that, were either killer for people or like stay away, don't ever try this? If any of those pop into your mind at a net from the networking or referral standpoint?
Um, I mean, I don't network in downtown Milwaukee anymore. I'll just tell you that. It sounds horrible.
Uh-oh, no offense to you guys down there, but okay. Well,
Little
that's
car.
funny.
I'm the worst driver. How I got into real estate and I'm driving around for a living is beyond me, but I hate driving.
Oh my
But
gosh, that's hilarious.
mindset. So I used to, in the beginning, when I did everything, I would go
Yeah,
downtown working events and they'd start at 5, so I'd leave at 3:30-ish, get stuck in traffic, which I hate driving, and then my blood's already, so already I'm like getting up to here. Then
yeah,
hopefully I find a parking spot, and if not,
yep,
I'm driving around. So then I'm getting up to here. And I'm already at an 8.5 before I walk in a room and I don't know anybody.
yeah,
So generational, every time I went downtown, it was somebody who was very young and in marketing. And that was
yeah,
it. And it
yep,
was the business card and the sell them. And I can't handle it when someone doesn't ask me a question back.
sure,
Uh, and that's fine. And sometimes I'll just sit and wait.
yeah.
So,
Oh,
it,
that's that awkward silence, right? Of two people that don't know each other. There's like nothing worse in the world than having
right,
that. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, you and I are totally alike in a lot of ways, Allison, but it's funny how different we are because, like, if the networking event starts at 5, I'm heading down there around 5
bargain.
because I don't want to be there first. I, just want to just do my job and get the heck out, which again isn't necessarily the best way, but you literally would leave at 3:30 for a 5 o'clock. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
and I hate parking, and you just always get stuck in traffic. But I don't, but that's being a real estate agent. Like you have to be on time for showings and you have to be like
Sure. Yep.
3 times. So for a networking event, if it starts at 5, I'm there at 5.
Yeah. Wow. So as we start to land the plane today, what makes a good referral in your world? And when you think about referrals, it's crazy to me. The research out there shows that 91% of your existing customers would give a referral if you asked, you meaning you or anyone listening. So I just say 9 out of 10 of your existing clients would be happy to refer you. The problem is only 11% of people ask. So I feel like there's this big misunderstanding. I don't want to, I've heard every excuse. I don't want to impose. I'm embarrassed. I'm this, I'm that. How do you guys do referrals and what does a good referral look like for you?
So we follow up after the sale, obviously, of how are things going? Can you write a testimonial? Which
Okay.
which which I'm actually quite blessed. So we've got amazing testimonials on both Google and Facebook. And
Okay.
I respond to all of my Google testimonials. I feel
Okay.
like
Good.
good, bad, or indifferent, but I feel, I always look at it. It's the same when people write an offer. If someone writes a terrible offer, they've still put pen to paper, and
Yeah.
I'm still gonna thank the person for taking time. That's just golden rule. It's just
Sure.
it's kindness, right?
Yep.
Um, I will say where I do falter in the follow-ups, and I have automated systems to stay in touch with people, and it doesn't always happen. I honestly, I just found out this weekend. I was just looking online at some houses, and I'm like, boy, that house looks familiar. Where I sold it, and they're not using me to sell it again. I
Ah,
don't know why.
Yeah.
But I wish them the best,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's probably my fault for not staying in front of people
Sure.
more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
life happen, and it happens
Yeah.
on both sides. So, like when I said that I'm everyone's best friend for 90 days, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Unless if there's a really fun wedding on a Saturday night that I get invited to. Um, but especially in referrals, with referrals, especially in real estate, I think when you have somebody that's you've already had a trusting relationship with somebody. I'm working with people's biggest financial purchase of their lives, their
Yeah.
finances. I'm working with a house that may need repair, that there could be something wrong, and as long as we've got open and honest communication, not everything's perfect. No house, new construction is not perfect, but you
Yeah.
have open and honest communications in that trust. And once somebody has someone in their sphere looking to be like, hey, it didn't always go right, but she was there, she didn't hide, and she was communicating. That's my best referral.
Right.
They have realistic expectations of what it means. I'm not for everybody, and it took me a long time, and it took one of your classes, actually, one of your seminars, to know I'm
Uh-oh.
everybody and not
Yeah.
everybody for me, and it's okay. And on my website, we actually say, let's go grab a cup of coffee because you're going to interview me. I fully expect you to, but guess what? I
Yeah.
need to interview you just as hard. I am a one person real estate firm. I mean, Dennis is here, he's doing his
Sure.
own thing. If we
And
can't communicate,
Zeus, come on, what is Zeus? Don't forget
yes,
about
he's
Puppy.
got to start pulling his weight.
Yep, he's on now. He might have be on a performance improvement plan because he's got to get working here. That's ridiculous.
He's so funny. And if you haven't gone to whoever is watching this on YouTube, our website, they got my adorable dog on there because I'm that dog mom.
We'll
Um,
show, yep, we'll get that out in a sec. So yep, for sure. That's awesome.
but
I love that. Go ahead, keep going.
no. But I mean, because it is really important. And especially as a realtor, our time is often your schedule. And that's really hard. And when you're by
Yeah,
yourself, I've got a cabin up north or I'm going on vacation, and if you're calling me, house is here, I got to see it right now, and I have plans, and if there's tension or an argument that you don't understand that my life is as important and valuable as yours, we're never going to connect. Am I
yep,
at a time when people need to see houses? Of course. That's life.
yep,
It's like you get all of your deals when you go on vacation, right? The universe knows when you
yep.
universe always
So
knows.
go on vacation more. That's the thing,
Literally my
right? You got to go on vacation more.
3 words, take more vacation. It's my
Yep.
business plan every single year because
There
it
you go.
happens.
There you go. We're gonna title that. Hey Dana, let's title this "Take More Vacation."
Take
So
more
that'll
vacation.
that'll be a great title for this. That's hilarious. Well, and I think again that for people listening, there's no one way to do this, and we're all trying to find the magic bullet, and there really probably isn't one. I think for business growth, though, you hit on two really solid pieces is networking and referrals. Again, depending on the industry, but most industries, networking and referrals are really solid ways to grow your business. So if you're unsure, if you're listening right now and you are unsure how to grow your business, I think, and again, maybe it's as simple as find a refer or find a networking group in your industry. Find a networking group that's going to be filled with people that could potentially buy what you have. And again, if you're a chiropractor in one city, don't fly to Vegas and think you're going to have success unless you live in Vegas. And that's where I want to make sure that we are, steering you in the right direction. And then when you get there, you think about how I can add value to those things. And then I think the hardest one was asking for that referral. Is that hard for you, Allison, to say, would you write me a review? Is that a hard discussion for you to have?
Review, no, that I'm okay at. But it is,
Okay.
in fact, I do struggle because it's all in my disc profile. You can look it up
Yep.
after. But I do struggle with an ask. Like there are people that are much better at it that at the time of closing, give me 3 friends, tell me this.
Yep.
I don't like to look like I'm imposing of somebody.
Right.
I
Yep.
had a great experience and I know it, and we've had fun together because at the end of the day, life is so dang short. Like, let's just have some fun with it
Yeah.
all.
Yep.
Asking for, write a testimonial, everyone's happy to do it, which
Sure.
is really nice. And I read through them sometimes and I'm just like, people actually, I mean, how humbling, right? That people
Yeah.
actually do in such light. And especially
Yep.
on the you may not be feeling it yourself. That's a great testimonial of,
Yep.
power of working with people that you love, and know and respect.
Yeah.
So
Just don't be hard on yourself because I'm that way where I travel somewhere to speak in the country and they do some kind of, survey at the end and I get the results from whomever asked me to speak there and I look and I get all these fives and then I have a four and I just like stumble. I'm like, why did I get a four? Or even worse, a three. I can't remember the last time I got a three, but out of five, I should say out of five, not out of 10, right? But it's like, oh my gosh, man, rejoice, enjoy the fives, enjoy the positive words, learn from the negative ones or the less than positive ones. But I think a lot of times people are afraid to ask because they don't want to see what the results are. They're there anyway, so you might as well ask. People are feeling that already. So that's pretty cool. So as like you said, referrals are the one that are always trying to work on. And I think everybody in their sales journey has kryptonite, so to speak. Some people can't stand follow up. Some people they don't want to do cold calling. Some people don't want to ask for referrals. Whatever it is, lean into all the strengths that you have. And you've done such a great job over the years, Allison, of doing that. And I appreciate that. Watching you from far, sometimes in the same room, which has been since COVID. I don't think we've
oh,
been in the same room since COVID, which is crazy. One last question, I'm gonna let you go. What would your tip of the day be for somebody listening? Maybe it's something we covered. Maybe it's something that's on your heart that you haven't had a chance to share. But what would your tip of the day be for somebody listening today?
well, if you're in southeastern Wisconsin, it would be sell your house because we are in a severe inventory shortage.
Well, there you go. There's a perfect one. Oh my gosh. It's still selling for top dollar, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it is. We're just in a real big, it's just an inventory shortage in every price point. So sell your
Sure.
house.
Sell
Um,
your There's three more, Dana. Sell your house. We can add that as a subtitle to today's talk. Sell your house. Might as well put damn it after it just for a little emphasis.
right, exactly. Exactly. No, I mean, honestly, being an entrepreneur is hard. And it's been a struggle of 14 years. And I really feel in the last two, I've come into my own. So the tip of the day, I would say, is be authentic to yourself and keep it simple. And I've heard that from networking friends that I love and respect more than life itself. And when I get in my own way, and that's when the demons start, telling you you're
Sure.
not good, I can't do this, and what am I doing? But when I
Yeah.
stay authentic, keep it simple, know who you are and lean into it.
Yeah.
And that's enough in life, not just business, that's enough in life, you know.
Yep. That's
That's
awesome. Well said. Yes. Super easy you think that you know yourself, but it's like it takes a little bit more. And I'm impressed at how in tune you are with yourself through this discussion. It feels really healthy to be in that spot where you know what you can do, you know what you can't do, and then you find somebody that can do what you can't do and vice versa. That's
100%.
awesome.
A
Hey,
long
if
time.
yeah, if somebody is listening and they want to learn more about your firm, they want to learn more about you, maybe they have a house to sell in southeastern Wisconsin. Quite frankly, maybe you do northeastern Wisconsin. I mean, it's like wherever, we don't care.
Anywhere with
We're
a W,
licensed,
Wisconsin.
we're licensed anywhere, so it doesn't matter. But if somebody wants to learn with more about you and connect with you, Allison, what's the best way for people to do that?
So we have an amazing website, which is www.denaligroupwi.com. On the bottom of the homepage, there's a QR code that says download our app.
Okay,
We developed a really cool app 2 years ago. It's not just buying and selling houses, which you
sure.
can do, here, but it's got communities, what restaurants to go to, where to go, what it
Oh,
means to be a seller, what it means to be a buyer, um, a list of trusted professionals in different fields,
oh,
right on
great.
and all the stuff, which is
Sure.
great. And It's really just again, it's that word value. It's a value add. I'm
Yep.
a little company. Where can I bring value to the outside world? And this is one way to do so. So that's a great way. Otherwise, we have a Facebook page. I'm super active on Facebook. You'll see pictures of Zeus. Um,
Oh my gosh. And don't even try to say her last name. So you can spell it Quartuccio. So, I mean,
Allison
have fun
Quartuccio.
saying it. Have fun saying it. I'm not even going to try again. So I did it
You did
once.
great.
I
This was
rocked it. So
great. Thank you.
that's that's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much again for hanging out with us today. It's always good to hear about somebody's journey. They're all different, but yet there's so many similarities. And our hope for the listener is that you walk away with some actionable items. Maybe it's brush up on your networking. Maybe it's start a referral program. Maybe it's talking about what is your passion. Maybe it is taking the next step in that entrepreneurial journey. Whatever that is, we're here to help any way that we can. Reach out to me anytime, reach out to Allison. She especially loves about 9 o'clock at night after a bottle of wine to then call her because I think her commissions go down, everything, the walls down, everything's
I'm
goes
even
crazy. Yeah,
loud.
there you go. Oh my gosh. You heard it here first. I love it. Absolutely. That's fantastic. So, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for sharing part of your journey with us today. And again, look forward to continuing to watch you develop.
Thank you so much, Dave. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.